Why is it live? Why is that streaming live? That shouldn't be streaming live.
You might on your XSplit turn off broadcast.
Oh no, it's just streaming live local recording. So it's not actually streaming to.
I was about to say it'll look like it's live, but it'll say it won't be your channel. Mythos' camera froze.
Oh no, he's moving on mine.
Okay.
Wave. Yeah. Beautiful. Fucking fantastic. This is technology at its finest. Hello.
Nice.
Welcome to the first Run Hot or Die podcast. I am, for those of you who don't know me, Runs with Fire. I am the current EU Division Manager for the Steel Jaguar competitive gaming team. With me today, I have the two main people of the Steel Jaguar team. We have the Magician and Glory. Say hello, Wade.
Hello.
Guys, who are the Steel Jaguars? Who are SJR? Tell us about yourselves.
Well, SJR was formed in 2000 as Smoke Jaguar Reborn. In this past May, we changed the name to Steel Jaguar and dropped all of the roleplay pretenses that we had run with for several years throughout Mechwarrior 4. Because we wanted to focus on the competitive scene and becoming the best team we could possibly be, and we didn't want to let anything get in the way of that. So we changed our name and our persona, and we are pursuing total competitive play now.
So, I mean, you are a very competitive team, and I think that's well known amongst the MWO community. What are your kind of principles, your ethos for trying to promote that within your team?
Well, I think it's primarily that everybody who comes on this team knows what we're about and knows our goals. We broadcast them quite plainly on our website. We reinforce them during practices and in general on our forums. And everyone just knows that, hey, our goal is to be the best that we can possibly be, which is, we believe we could be the best team there is if we keep working.
Obviously, that's a lot of hard work that you guys put into it, you know. I mean, is it a chore for you? Is that, you know, you drive yourself hard, you put a lot of practice in. Does it stay fun when you put that much effort in?
I personally find that it does. I really enjoy playing like that, and we have a lot of great members on our team now. We're really lucky with how awesome the members who have chosen to join us are. They make things stay fun, and we have a lot of great banter. We let things get looser sometimes so we don't get too frustrated or too tight. We like to stay, flexible with our play and, we do make sure to have fun and not take it too seriously. I don't know if Magician has anything to add on that.
Yeah, I don't really have much fun if I'm not taking it seriously, to be honest. Though there can be times when you're sitting there and practicing and you just kind of would rather be doing something else because it just starts wearing thin, because right now it's not always as competitive as you would like it to be, so it can wear on you a little bit. You're making a schedule, you make your time, but it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. I mean, you guys have been playing mech simulation for quite a while now. I mean, what is your Mechwarrior pedigree? How long have you been doing mech simulation and been involved in that BattleTech universe?
Well, for me personally, I started with competitive Mechwarrior in 2001. I had previously played the other Mechwarrior games, single player, landing with friends, but to actually play against other people on the internet, it was with Mechwarrior 4. So then I played that seriously for approximately 5 or 6 years, and then after that, since 2007, really even up to last year, just off and on, getting back into it every once in a while and playing competitively.
Cool.
I started when I was 11, in Mechwarrior 2 31st Century Combat. On Cali, I joined a team on Cali and played competitively even when I was that young. So it was kind of ingrained in me to stick with Mechwarrior through the subsequent releases. Mechwarrior 3 I played online, Mechwarrior 4. Obviously I played for a long time competitively from 2000 until about 2007. And took a break from mechs after that, but then, when MWO was announced, jumped back into it full tilt.
Wow, so you pretty much had a booster seat in your cockpit. Cool, okay, so why then did you guys decide to form your own team? There's a lot of teams out there, a lot of them have been playing for, like you say, from Mechwarrior 2, certainly Mechwarrior 4 had a really good competitive scene as well. So why choose to do your own team rather than just let someone else do all the hard work, basically?
I think this is a good one for the answer, because this team has really existed since Mechwarrior 4 under her leadership, so go ahead.
Like Magician said, SJR has existed since 2000. It wasn't initially known as SJR, but that's another story entirely. But yeah, I have run a mech team for a long time, and the reason I started it, well, I guess my reasons were different when I was 14, when I first started the first one. But as for why we rekindled it for Mechwarrior Online, we were seeing how different modern competitive gaming teams have become from the traditional, role-play, hardcore BattleTech teams that made up the meat of Mechwarrior 4 teams. And we decided that we really wanted a modern competitive gaming team that's modeled a little more after, the competitive FPS clans and things like that. And we decided that we were really unlikely to find that unless we did it ourselves. And that's what we did.
I mean, I'm going to come on to MWO specifically in the competitive scene, but obviously, I mean, that's a really good point. There's a lot of other games out there with very, very serious competitive scenes, and a lot of them have sprung up very recently. You look at the likes of League of Legends and things like that, now massive on the competitive scene. So is that something your long-term goals? Are those the things you're looking to aim for? Or what are your long-term goals, really?
My long-term goals for this game is that we will have live LAN events that are being streamed and broadcasted across the internet, and people will be traveling all over, just like in Major League Gaming, just playing Mechwarrior Online. That would be my ultimate goal, but I'm realistic too. It's going to be a difficult path, and as long as we have a lively competitive scene where lots of teams are playing and trying to be as best as they can, that'll make me happy too.
So, for you, it's not just about SJR, and being a competitive team, then it's about the whole MWO scene, and having a competitive structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Okay, guys, so, I'm going to move on to the game specifically now, and a lot more about MWO, obviously. How long have you guys been in the beta for Mechwarrior Online?
I got in, I think, about 1 week after closed beta started.
I was a bit after that, probably about 3-4 weeks after that.
So you've had plenty of time to experience the game. You've gone through pretty much all the patches since closed beta first started. So give us your honest opinion about Mechwarrior Online at the minute. Perturbed faces.
Honestly, I'll tell anybody, I absolutely love the game. I have a lot of fun with it. I think there's a lot of problems. I think there's a lot of things that need to get fixed, but I have faith they'll be fixed, and it'll improve as we go along. I just think that Mechwarrior, what makes it so different, so much better than other games, is the Mech Lab. going in there, figuring out what configs to take, the amount of variety, and then you go out and play those games, and it's figuring out what the opponents are taking on their mechs and how to damage them and cripple them the quickest. Are they stripping their leg armor? Are they removing their torso armor? Or a lot of their weapons in a side torso? Can you get an ammo explosion on them because they're not taking case? All those various factors make the game as good as it is, and I think it's hard to make a bad Mechwarrior game because of that, but I think they've done a really good job. The graphics are good, the play is good. I just think they just need more content right now, and then it'll be possibly the best game we've had yet in the Mechwarrior scene.
I don't really have anything to add to that. That pretty much sums up my opinion too.
Okay, so what are your expectations? I mean, you mentioned obviously you need some more gameplay in there and things like that. What are your expectations from MWO, and what are the things that you really want to see in the game at the minute?
Private matchmaking. I really want to see private matchmaking. I mean, I know I've been really vocal about this on the forums. Everybody knows how important that is to the competitive scene, to having a competitive scene at all, because right now we're sync dropping and it works okay. 3 out of 4 times you can get a sync drop working. When we go into phase 2 and we don't have the matched weight classes anymore, I have no idea if it's going to work anymore, and the little bit of competitive play we've had with the tourney in the league might be gone until we do get the private matchmaking, which luckily they have said they're working on. Other than that, more maps, more content would be great, and they are working on that, so looking forward to that.
Anything new, Aaron?
I'll say I'm really looking forward to them having the modified elo system as well. I mean, what makes StarCraft so great, what makes League of Legends so great, is that you can go on there and say, hey, this is where I'm ranked at, or this is where my team's ranked at. And every time you play, you're trying to improve that ranking and get better. I mean, that creates its own competitive scene around that. And even if you don't get the LAN tournaments and all that other stuff, there's something there. So I'm really looking forward to them implementing that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, from my own perspective, I was a little bit surprised that it was so far down on their priority list to have that matchmaking, and they didn't seem to expect that matchmaking was going to be such a big deal as it was. I mean, did that surprise you guys as well?
Well, it came as a surprise to me because the reason the other games were so successful, the reason Mechwarrior 2 and especially Mechwarrior 4 was so successful and had such a long lifespan, was the ability for teams to match up against each other easily. And Mechwarrior 4 especially, its life stretched out over a decade with leagues and people supporting leagues because the game, offered that, and people could get their competitive mech fix. And if we don't have abilities like that in Mechwarrior Online, that's an entire group of gamers, competitive gamers, who aren't having what they want from a game, tended to.
Yeah, I think I was a little surprised, but at the same time not. I mean, I've been following the free-to-play scene here for a little while, and Tribes Ascend is the one I call upon because they didn't have the private matchmaking at first. It took them a long time to add that. It took them a long time to fix a lot of their issues. But in the end, they listened to the community, and they completely reworked that game several times to make it the type of game that the community wants. So I think it's up to the community to keep asking for what they want, keep making sure they know what we want. And I think in the end we'll get it, because honestly, your best customers are going to be the ones, are going to be your core, that core base who's supporting you. And if you can make those people happy, they're the ones who are going to be screaming on all the forums, everywhere, to advertise.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think PGI has done a pretty good job of listening to the forums and making some good calls. It can be very difficult listening to the forums. There's a lot of people shouting for a lot of different stuff. And it can be hard as a developer to pick the clever ideas, the right ideas. My opinion is they've done pretty well at that so far. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's certainly my take on it.
I think they've done a pretty good job of listening to us and responding to us. I mean, we only recently found out that how they're going to proceed with these phases of matchmaking, and them actually saying, hey, we understand the esports community, we recognize it, we want to support it, and we're going to have the private matchmaking at some point. So I think they've listened to us.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about one of their plan features, and I have to say this is a bit of a personal thing for me, because this was one of the things that really got me excited for Mechwarrior Online. It's the community warfare. How do you think that's going to fit in with the gameplay, and particularly with the competitive scene? Do you think they're going to have to do this separately? Do you think it's going to be able to tie in together? Or do you think that this whole persistent universe idea, if they get it into game and working as intended, is going to change things up and potentially ruin that competitive scene?
I personally think that they're going to have to be separate. The competitive teams will certainly have a big role in community warfare, and we're definitely going to be there and doing our best to affect that map. But with private matches, once those are implemented, absolutely there are going to be external leagues and ladders that pop up, and they're probably going to be where the real hardcore competition occurs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the community warfare. I think it's going to be really neat. You go back to the old planetary leagues and you had to schedule your matches, and I still want that. But you'll just go on 24/7 and play matches against other teams, and for some part of the map, and all. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be one of the better experiences that a lot of gamers have for online play. I mean, when you know that your Merc Core worked and captured that planet, and maybe it's in your name in some way, it's going to be awesome.
Certainly, I agree with that, but also the ability eventually to pit the best teams against the best teams, which might not be possible to do based on the limitations of the star map, depending which faction you're aligned with or hired by at the time. That's going to make community warfare a little, it's going to be different, and hopefully we can have ladders and direct competition like that as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely will have to have competition outside of that too, because the scheduled matches and ranking systems on teams, whether it's a ladder or a league, it's definitely important. And we also got told in the PC Gamer magazine they're really thinking about Solaris as a feature add-on, so that'll be another type of competitive outlet.
Absolutely, and I mean Solaris has been very popular within Mechwarrior 4, and the Solaris style of games. We've seen it in Mechwarrior Living Legends, Mechwarrior 4. Is there anything in particular you would really like to see within the Solaris style matches? There's been some talk about having the original commentator back from Mechwarrior 4, for example.
For me, it's custom features, which means you can set the time limit, respawns if you want it, weather, time of day, things like that. But really, most importantly, is to get features that allow for commentating. The easier you can make it to have somebody who can be a commentator, oversee, watch the match, record the match, change camera positions, change viewpoints on the different players. The more of those features you have, it's just going to make it that much better. And especially if you can actually broadcast it out like you can in League of Legends, and even Command & Conquer, they have that ability. And if you can broadcast, MWO Sports broadcasting and automatic broadcasting of big matches between high-ranked players, that's just, all those features just kind of give me shivers, because I would love to see that. Because in the past games in Mechwarrior 4, we couldn't watch any teams play. We had no idea how those battles finished or anything like that. So the more that they have these features so that people can watch other people play, and we already have that a little bit with Twitch TV and private streaming, but the more that's ingrained in the actual product, just the better the experience is going to be.
See, I have to say, I've sort of followed. I've been a competitive PvP player. My pedigree actually was World of Warcraft, and I did used to follow the competitive scene there. And I think one of the reasons why Warcraft Arena was dropped as an esport was because they had terrible support for spectators. It was always done with that third-person view over the shoulder. And I think it's also one of the reasons why you're seeing some of the FPS games lose their viewership compared to games like StarCraft 2 or League of Legends, where you've got that top-down strategy view. So, I mean, what are your feelings? What kind of system would you like to see in place for Mechwarrior Online to make it viewable, basically, to engage the audience so that they can see?
You know, I think Firefall has an amazing system for that. And a system somewhat like Firefall's currently is, with the multiple different viewpoints that the commentator can control to get just a really good panoramic view or specific view, depending on what he wants to show, would be perfect for Mechwarrior Online.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it's a really good system. It kind of reminds me of the old Counter-Strike systems that people developed, and in that you could stream live, or a delayed match, and you could select which player you wanted to follow, and those features for people to be able to do would be great.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked at if they're going to push that kind of thing. Okay, something else I wanted to talk about with the with upcoming features with the game as well. Now, obviously, Mechwarrior Online has been following this kind of real-time scale, and we're a little bit behind on when the game was due to be released and everything. And obviously, there's a particular date that's coming up fairly soon. I'm sure, as former clan players, you're aware of that date. How do you think the clan invasion is going to play out? Do you think they're going to have to reset the timeline to give the Inner Sphere mechs more time? Do you think the clan invasion is going to wreck what they've got? What are your feelings on this? Because it's a big thing that's potentially coming soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they're going to actually start that. The way the timeline worked is there was the general invasion that occurred, but the clans kind of rolled through the Inner Sphere at first. There was really no resistance to a little bit later on. I don't remember what those dates are, but I think if I remember right, we're talking about maybe in the spring. We'd actually see that, or possibly in the summer. And I'm not sure. I don't think they need to delay anything as long as they get community warfare up in the next couple months. And that's what their plan is. Their plan was to have community warfare starting around December, as I heard. So as long as they have that running for a few months, I mean, I hope, if they have the mech models made, and I just don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if teams are going to play the clans, how that's going to work, if the clans are going to be something like you can play IS and the clans. They haven't really announced much with it, other than a few mentions here and there that you'd be able to possibly play a clan, but it would be done in some way that's quite different from how you would play as a part of a house or as a merc corps.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I've heard rumors of Zellbriggen. I've heard rumors of all kinds of stuff. People, get really up in arms and really passionate about the clan invasion. I mean, if you know BattleTech fans, you know how crazy they can get over the clan invasion. But I think that it'll be fine, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as a lot of people fear when it comes to balance, because PGI has shown so far that they are willing to deviate from canon when it's for the good of the game, and I expect they'll do that with the clans as well. If the clan mechs are going to be too overpowered for the game, they will fix it, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'd be very happy to see them make sure it stays balanced rather than stick to canon.
Cool. Okay, well, finishing up just on MWO specifically, do you have one message for PGI or one design idea that you would particularly like to see in-game? Something that's not been announced, something that's you think is missing from their design plans?
Yeah, what I think would be awesome is a commander role that the commander is not piloting a mech. A more comprehensive command map without actually needing to pilot the mech as well. So just to have a completely separate additional role, and maybe just for competitive reasons, or maybe not even in community warfare or normal matches, but I think it'd be really cool to have drop commanders who are able to focus on just how the battle is going without having to worry about surviving as well.
Yeah, I think the one thing we need is if they expand the community warfare beyond just mercs and houses, and actually have people who can play like pirates, and they'll suddenly appear and be attacking the planets and hit places deep in the inner sphere, so it's not just on the borders. And possibly that people can hire mercs out to help them. Houses can put up contracts and pay other mercs to go and help them and maybe assist them in drops, things like that. I think that'd be fun.
Cool. Okay, well, guys, you very recently, going back to that competitive scene, you very recently run the Run Hot or Die tournament, which was the first tournament for Mechwarrior Online, discounting obviously the NVIDIA tournament that PGI ran. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, we ran a single elimination tournament with 16 teams, so it went across about 4 or 5 weeks of play. Teams had a week to finish their matches as a best of 3. There was predetermined drop decks, for example, 2 assaults, 2 heavy, 2 medium, 2 lights. The next one might be 2 assaults, 1 heavy, 3 mediums, and 2 lights, something like, in various things like that. And teams really enjoyed it. I mean, you had a sync drop against other teams, which means you both had to click launch about the same time, and it went really well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was great to see the community response from it. We had all 16 spots in the tournament filled within 2 days of announcing it, with lots more teams who wanted in that we just didn't have room for because we wanted to start small with the first one. And it really kicked off the competitive scene, and that's what we were hoping for when we decided to do it, was to just spearhead a movement into promoting the competitive scene of this game, because we wanted to make sure and demonstrate to PGI that their players do want this.
Yeah, it was great seeing players commenting that this is the most fun they've ever had gaming, and they can't wait to do it again. I mean, that just makes me happy that Mechwarrior Online really has a future in competitive gaming.
In fact, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, is the amount of support you had from the community and the community reaction. How well then was it supported by PGI specifically? Do you feel that you were pretty much left to your own devices, you didn't get enough support, or were they actually very supportive of what you were trying to push and what you were trying to achieve with the tournament?
Well, certainly people like Garth were very supportive of it. Garth was very interested in how it was turning out and how much fun we were having and things like that. So it was fun to talk to him and bounce ideas off of him. But for the most part, PGI had no involvement in the tournament until the finals, when ELP and Chaos were allowed to record the finals matches.
Yeah, and certainly you can see, if everyone who's watching this hasn't seen already, you can catch on the MWO Mercs website the final match between Chaos and ELP. I believe it's shoutcasted by No Guts No Galaxy, is it? Mm-hmm. So yeah, by all means, guys, go have a view. Certainly everyone I've spoken to who participated in it had a lot of fun playing it. Was it as much fun setting it up, though? You know, what kind of challenges did you guys face trying to get 16 teams organised and sorted out for?
Well, it actually wasn't that difficult. Teams worked really well. I mean, I was the lead contact for any disputes, any scheduling problems and all that. I didn't have a single team come to me and say they couldn't schedule their match. So that made it really easy on me. And Lori probably had the most work to do because she was setting up all the graphics, updating the brackets anytime there was results. But even getting the rules out wasn't very difficult because I didn't have a lot of detailed rules. I just relied on teams to use common sense with these things. And everyone was really good. There's not a single team that questioned the results. It really, really nice.
Now, I've certainly seen a couple of other tournaments come up since then. I think that the latest one I saw on the forums was the Trial by Fire, which is the Trial Mech tournament. does that excite you, seeing other people following your lead and starting to set up their own tournaments with obviously their own ideas, catering to different things? Do you think that's a really positive step?
Yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see that other people and in other parts of competitive play want to promote this as well. I mean, the trial mechs, that's probably going to be a pretty popular way of playing, especially for people who prefer stock mech play. I mean, there was a big community for stock play in Mechwarrior 4, and it is a good way to enforce that all teams are using the same configurations as using the trial mechs, and I think it's really cool to see that other people are wanting to do tournaments and things as well, because the more of us who do it, the better.
Yeah, Mechwarrior has always had a diverse competitive scene, from ladders to Mechwarrior 4, from the people who would only play first person, people who played third person, people who wanted stock, people who wanted pure attacks, only clan weapons, clan mechs, only IS weapons and IS mechs, people who wanted the mixed tech. And there was leagues for everybody, and that is one of our greatest strengths.
Okay, so what future tournaments are you guys planning on? I think that's probably the real question here. You know, what have you guys got in the pipeline for competitive play on MWO?
Well, we have the RunHotorDie League, which has 40 teams signed up from the U.S., and I believe 11 or 12 teams that are European. So that is going to be a round-robin league with the playoffs, and it already kind of started. We did some preseason matches. Some teams did their first round match, but then the first round got a little bit interrupted with the open beta and some of the resets that went on. So we put it fully on hold until we're sure we can do matchmaking with the upcoming patch, and then at that point we'll be looking at what the features are in, how well does matchmaking work with the Phase 2 implementation, how do things change with any new game modes. We have choices on what game modes we're going to play, or is it just going to be random? And we'll make some decisions at that point, how we're going to proceed forward with the league, but really hoping that all the teams stay in and are still organized as they were, and that we're able to keep going forward as soon as Phase 2 gets implemented.
I mean, 40 teams, that's a really good show from the community, and it obviously shows just how much interest there is in that competitive league play. Do you think this is going to be something that's going to become like an annual thing, or are you going to run leagues twice a year? I mean, how are you looking to plan this out for the future? Because it looks like it's already taken off pretty well.
I was just going to say that the league's going to be about 14 weeks or so, including the playoffs. So my hope is that as soon as that finishes, we may have a little week break or two as we get reorganized. Maybe set up some new divisions in some individual leagues, where it's a tiered league. So you'd have the better teams at the top in their own league, and teams that are new joining in a lower bracket, so they can play each other and just keep doing it as long as people are willing to play.
Yeah, and ideally, if interest remains, we could get to the point that we can set up a ladder or set up an automated system to have, consistent ladder play without having to go through all the form posting and stuff that we've had to so far.
Cool. Now, obviously, as part of that, you've also set up RunHotorDiePodcast.com, which is your website. Why did you set that up? What did you hope to achieve with that site specifically?
Well, we wanted to showcase the competitive community. We wanted to create a place where the competitive community could get together that wasn't, just on the Mechwarrior Online forums, because it gets kind of swamped with all kinds of posts there, and there's not exactly a category called competitive players or whatever. So we wanted to make a place where the community could come together, discuss competitive issues, and communicate about the league and other things like that. We also wanted to do things like interviewing teams who are in the league, keeping up with news on the competitive scene, hopefully get into shoutcasting the league matches and things like that, and have them on the site.
Yeah, back in Mechwarrior 4, there was really no way to know who was playing who was beating who was good, without being really a major participant in the league and following exactly the matches, and it was always kind of buried and tough to tell. So for me, I wanted a place that we could highlight competitive play. Esports has kind of been on the decline in some ways with how the information is shared. Back when we had GotFrag, which is a great site for the Counter-Strike community, and Call of Duty, and I wanted some site that could be a combination of what GotFrag used to offer for those communities, as well as what Elitist Jerks offered for a while, a place that people could come together and talk about strategies or talk about these mechs, the configs, figure out what's working, do all that math and all that nerdy stuff that I like to participate in myself.
Theory crafting.
Stupid hunters.
So obviously you've got the forums up there, you're announcing your matches and everything else. What are the plans, future activities that you've got planned, the future features for the site? Why should people be interested in your site and go visit?
Well, anyone who wants to keep up with the news on the scene, or even editorials, we have editorials planned. Writers' opinions on what's going on in Mechwarrior Online right now. We just want to have a place that's easy for people to come and see what's going on with the competitive scene and not have to dig through a whole bunch of forums and dig through other units' websites and everything. So that there can just be a one-stop place for all the competitive information that you might want to find.
Okay, cool. Okay, moving on then. What do you feel is the future of the competitive scene within MWO? We've touched on this slightly in some of your other answers already, but just how do you feel that the competitive scene is going to progress, judging from the reaction to the tournament, from PGI, everything else?
Well, I think it's going to progress, and that's what's most important. I don't know what direction it's going to take. The fact that they're going to have private servers, if they add Solaris, it's definitely going to progress and be easier for competitive teams to play. Whether or not they add features that allow for streaming and actual LAN events, I don't know yet. And if they do that, it'll get even better. I mean, it's not that difficult. StarCraft, they'll have those I forget what they call them, but basically, teams go and they show up at a local LAN center and they play their matches. I think they'll play bar matches, and I think that could be the future of MWO if those features are added.
I agree, and I think that we got PGI's attention. I think the competitive scene coming together and all the emails and posts that everybody in it have made. I mean, lots and lots of teams got involved in trying to get PGI's attention about promoting competition in the game. I think that now that they have seen what we're looking for, we're going to see a lot of progress in that direction.
Do you think there are any specific challenges MW is going to face if they do go this competitive scene? It obviously takes a lot of work to get a game on MLG's radar. I mean, as popular as League of Legends was, it did take a while, and particularly the implementation of a proper spectator mode. So do you think PGI is going to face similar challenges if they go this route?
Yes, it's difficult. What it really takes to get a game on those circuits, honestly, is money. It's not just saying PGI has to give them money to go on there, but they have to be willing to promote the game. They have to be willing to provide the features, work with MLG to do it. And when you get into professional streaming, you have to work out the licensing rights for actually streaming these games. So it takes PGI to sit up there and say, hey, this is something we want to do. Some games now, they're all starting that way. You look at games like Shootmania, they're starting off saying, hey, we want to be an esports title. Firefall, esports title. They even have a person hired specifically to run their esports portion. And they're going to invest. They're going to invest over $1 million, I think it is, next year in just some tournaments in Firefall. And that is something you saw with Tribes Ascend. They invested money, got the game to the North American Star League, which is a big StarCraft league. So it's going to take PGI being involved and having people and working with the competitive scene, working with the league directors out there and to get this going.
Cool. Well, I'm going to move away from MWO just a little bit here, and I want to talk about Hawken. Now, I know that some of you guys are obviously in the beta there. Am I allowed to say that? But how are you guys finding it at the minute? I have to say I am insanely jealous of you.
I love it so far. With this beginning of closed beta, we've been allowed to stream it, so you can even go on Twitch TV and find people streaming. Or I think closed beta's down for now. There was a weekend, and some people were streaming. A bunch of people were streaming, so you could probably find backlogs and actually look at the game. But it's a lot of fun. I really like it. It's not as quakey as a lot of Mechwarrior fans are saying. Like, you'll see it on the forums. People are like, "Oh, it's just mechanized Quake." It's really not. It's a lot slower paced than your average FPS, and it's a really good balance between, Twitch and mecha play.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with how the game runs. The graphics are really good. The artistic vision is awesome. And the actual playstyle is very diverse. They have skill trees, they have different upgrades you do that improve the looks of your mech and give you some choices on how your mech's going to look. I personally still like my mech that looks like a TV. I think the game has a lot of promise, and there's a lot of money being invested into that game from some big companies. So, they're making a web series videos. They already licensed the movie rights for it. Honestly, I'm going to play it as much as I can, but when you're trying to be competitive in a game, you only have so much time you can invest into another game. So it's going to be my outlet, which, and I hope maybe it'll end up becoming a main game if it ends up, continuing as strong as it is, but it's good.
I have to say, from an outsider's perspective, I haven't played, I've only seen previews and what I've read in the likes of PC Gamer. It seems very much like a mechanized Team Fortress 2 in some respects. It has the different classes of mech, but it's still very team-orientated. Another comparison that PC Gamer made was it was quite a lot like Tribes Ascend. Obviously it's different because it's mecha play, and as you mentioned, it's slower. But do you think that's a fair comparison to make?
I'd say it's certainly a very team-based game. There are things like shields that you can drop on your teammates while they're trying to heal themselves. I believe there's a healing class magician. I don't remember. Is there one?
I don't know if there's not a healing class, I don't think, but there's items you can drop that'll heal your teammates faster.
Yeah, something like that, and your team really matters in Hawken, and it's cool to see. It's like, I don't want to. I'm going to bring Reign of Thunder. Reign of Thunder has some similarities as well, and I'm not sure what's going on with Reign of Thunder. I haven't seen much progress with that game in a while, but it has a similar vein too, and I'd say that Reign of Thunder is a little more like Team Fortress than Hawken is.
So, obviously, as you've mentioned, there's a lot of money being invested in Hawken at the minute. Excuse me. Do you think that this is potentially a big, or there's potential for a big clash between MWO and Hawken when they're both out? They're obviously both free-to-play games. They're both kind of filling that mecha niche, which has been missing for a long time, really. Do you think it's going to be fight, and people are going to either go Hawken or MWO, or do you think they're strong enough individually that they can stand on their own merits, and people can enjoy those games separately without feeling like they're two of the same game? They're both filling that mecha role.
Personally, I think that they're going to have a bit of a Venn diagram there. You're going to have your people who are MWO people. They're Mechwarrior players. They love Mechwarrior. They like the slower play of Mechwarrior. They like it's a little bit more maybe strategic. There's location-based damage in Mechwarrior Online where you don't really have that in Hawken. So you're going to have people who like that complexity of play. Whereas Hawken, you're going to get a lot of players who want maybe a little bit faster. It's not, like Glory said, it's not really a Twitch game, but it has a bit more of a Twitch to it than MWO does. So you're going to have people maybe that played Call of Duty or Gears of War, or any of the other FPSs, and they're going to be looking for something a little more fast-paced, like MW, right? Sorry, like Hawken. So, but you're going to have people like me who want to play both as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Now, I have to ask, are there any other games that you guys are playing at the minute? Are there any top picks for 2012 you just haven't been able to put down? Obviously MWO is taking up a lot of your time, but what are you playing on the side? What's your dirty little secret?
I don't. You know what? I get bored with games so fast. It's not. They haven't been Mechwarrior. Mechwarrior. If you play it and you love it, it ruins other games for you. I mean, I played WoW for a while, but I hated it most of the time. I am playing Guild Wars 2 a little bit right now. I'm also checking out some of the other free-to-play games that are in beta, like War Thunder and World of Warplanes. It's being put out by the same company as World Tanks. So I'm trying those games out. They're pretty fun too. I like flight sims. So.
Mechwarrior Online is pretty much the only thing I'm playing consistently right now. I mean, I'm playing some older games like I recently got Dragon Age 2, and I'm finally working through that, but Mechwarrior Online is taking up the majority of my gaming time right now.
Yeah, I'm also just drooling over Star Citizen. So.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of already in that hype mode for that game. So once MWO is 5 years out, we'll see.
Okay. Now, very quickly, let's talk about your live streams. You guys do live stream. You also have a SJR YouTube channel as well. Tell us a little bit about it. Plug your channel. Sell it to us.
Well, we have lots of members in SJR who are streaming now. We've got Dale, who is one of the most prominent streamers of Mechwarrior Online right now. He's pretty popular. He engages with the viewers a lot, answers questions, things like that. He's fun to watch.
He actually has a huge following. I watched him the other night, and a very interactive chat as well, which is something a lot of even long-time streamers don't have. So big kudos to Dale there.
Yeah, Dale has a great stream, and he's worked really hard on it. I also have mine. Azor has his. Crescent Fresh has started as well. You have yours. Mythos hasn't really started, or Magician hasn't really started his yet, but he'll have one as well. And so we have lots of members, and on the SJR website, sjrgaming.com, there's a tab on the top that's labeled Twitch Hub, and or Stream Hub or something, and we're going to be putting all the SJR stream channels on that for an easy click and access, so you can see who's live at any given time.
Definitely pay attention to those, and also our Steel Jaguar Gaming Twitch channel. On that channel, we'll be streaming any matches we do, as well as possibly some scrims and other types of fun things. And I mean, hopefully, it'll be popular enough that people will watch, and we'd love to be able to, monetize it at some point, so we can get some funds to help support, both RunHotorDie and our infrastructure for SJR.
I mean, that's obviously the dream, is to be able to monetize some of the stuff. So that I certainly wish I could stay at home with wife and kids and sit and play computer games all day for a living. So what kind of stuff are you guys putting on your channel at the minute? I mean, is it purely the gameplay that you're doing, or have you got plans to expand it to bigger and better things as well?
Well, for me, I prefer to just do the gameplay. I'll answer questions if I'm asked. I don't do much in the way of commentary. When I'm looking for channels to watch, I personally don't always want to see someone, talking nonsense at the camera constantly while they're playing. Sometimes I just want to see a good player playing well, and that's what I try to do on my stream, is play as well as I can, answer any questions I'm asked, but otherwise if I'm talking, I'm just answering or talking on TeamSpeak. I'm not, just spouting random stuff at the screen. And Dale's a little more of a tutorial type of player. Like, he'll often talk about what he's doing, what he's taking, why he's taking it, things like that. So I think a lot of us are trying to do different things and fill different niches in what the viewing community would want.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think also that in the long term we'll be possibly adding some of our matches and just have that going when we're not streaming, so people have something to be watching.
Cool. And what about your YouTube channel? Are you planning on branding that a little bit more and pushing more things out through that?
I mean, at that point, we're starting to run out of, time in the day, but I really do want to get the YouTube channel having a lot of our scrimmages, a little more post-production on videos, cool videos, showcases of our players as much as possible, things like that. But that's kind of lower on the priority list, but hopefully we'll get to that point too.
And I have to say, running out of time of day, I think it's probably an apt point to bring this interview to an end. Just very last question for you guys. What does the future hold for SJR?
Hopefully the future is that we'll fulfill our goal of being the very, very best team in Mechwarrior Online. That was what we set out to do in the beginning, and that remains the goal. And ideally, that's what's going to happen, is that we will, be number one and stay there.
Well, it's Friday, so it's Drunk Mech Night. That's the future.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you for taking the time out of your afternoon there. I know it's quite early for you guys comparatively to make the time and speak to me, but thank you very much. I hope everyone who's been watching this has been enjoying it. Please do leave your feedback in comments or in chat or however else you want to leave a comment. If anyone wants to get in contact with you guys, what's the best way to get in contact if they have comments, feedback for you?
RunHotorDie website's a good way. Otherwise, you can email me at glory@sjrgaming.com.
You can also check out Twitter for RunHotorDie, or I'm on the rest of the Magician 93, and our Twitch channels are also good to find us.
Excellent. Guys, thank you again so much. And I have been Runs with Fire. You've been watching me on the Run Hot or Die podcast. I have, of course, been joined by Glory and the Magician from Steel Jaguar Gaming and RunHotorDie.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.